My family insisted I marry my dad's best friend's son. Instead, I secretly eloped with my boyfriend. Now they won't stop calling, but I just hit send on a wedding photo. They said it like it was a gift. And maybe I would have said yes. Maybe I would have smiled and clapped and played the good daughter if they hadn't tried to make it sound like it was already decided. I wasn't even sitting down when my dad told me. He said it after dinner, like he was asking me to help clean the dishes. His best friend's son had just finished graduate school. He was joining the family business. He had a clean record and a strong jaw. They'd already talked to his parents. Everyone was excited. I didn't need to worry about the details. They had it covered. I was 23, not stupid. I knew how these things worked in our family. Nothing was ever framed as a demand, just suggestions with no exit. I kept my face neutral, nodded once, and went upstairs without asking a single question. I locked the door and texted Ryan. He didn't say anything dramatic. He just said, "Figured this was coming." I stared at the message for a long time and then put the phone down. I'd been dating Ryan for a year and a half. I didn't post about him. We weren't official in the family sense. My mom thought he was a phase. My dad never asked about him. When my cousin got married, they told me not to bring a +1. When I said I wanted to introduce them to someone, they said I should focus on my career first. Ryan wasn't flashy. He wasn't wealthy. He didn't know how to make small talk with the kind of people who called me such a good girl. He worked long hours, didn't dress like he cared what anyone thought, and didn't pretend to agree with everything I said. I liked that he never looked at me like I owed him anything. I liked that he didn't flinch when I told him I wasn't ready to deal with my parents yet. I liked that he waited. So when they dropped that suggestion on me, I waited 3 days, packed a bag, and met Ryan at a train station 2 cities over. I didn't leave a note. I didn't warn anyone. I took the ID, the cash, the clothes I needed. I shut my phone off. And I didn't look back. For the first 2 weeks, it didn't feel real. We stayed at a motel and moved to a tiny apartment he'd lined up months earlier. We kept it quiet. No social media, no calls. He paid rent. I took freelance work online. We ate canned food and toast and laughed too loudly in a place with thin walls. I didn't miss my family. I didn't think about them at all, not until they found my LinkedIn profile and started messaging people I worked with. Not until they emailed my old professors. Not until they called Ryan's work and asked if anyone there had seen me. They tried to say they were worried, but it was never about me. It was about being embarrassed. It was about losing control. It was about the son of a man they'd known for 30 years getting stood up without even knowing it. They sent emails, they left voicemails, they sent old photos of me with that guy, vacation snapshots, group dinners, as if those could guilt me into crawling back. And then came the calls. My uncle, my aunt, my cousin's husband. Even a friend of the family I hadn't seen since I was 14. They all had the same script. They said I was being reckless. They said I was ruining everything. They said I'd regret it when Ryan left me. They said my parents were devastated. But I knew what devastation looked like. I'd seen my dad cry once in my life when his investment tanked and he had to sell our lake house. I knew my mom's version of heartbreak. It was quiet coldness and passive-aggressive posts about how children forget who raised them. They didn't care where I was sleeping. They didn't care what I was eating. They just wanted me back in the mold, back in their control. I didn't respond. I didn't unblock them. I didn't even let myself think about going home. The only person I let in was Ryan. And slowly, that started to feel like a mistake too. He was calm at first, supportive, patient. He said all the right things. But something shifted. It started with little comments about how I should be grateful, how he'd risked everything, how we'd be nothing if not for his planning. He reminded me that I had nowhere else to go, that my own family didn't want me anymore, that he'd saved me, that he'd believed in me when nobody else did. He didn't say it all at once. He said it when I asked for space, when I wanted to go out on my own, when I suggested maybe I could pick up more work or look into school again. He said it when I disagreed with him, when I rolled my eyes, when I didn't agree fast enough. I started watching myself around him. I paused before I spoke. I cleaned things before he asked. I apologized for things I wasn't sure I'd done. He didn't hit me. He didn't yell, but he reminded me over and over that I was lucky he still wanted this. And the worst part? I believed it, at least for a while. I thought maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe I really had ruined everything. Maybe I was just difficult. Maybe this was all I deserved now. Then came the wedding invite. My dad's best friend's son was getting married. Not to me. To someone else. A girl from their circle. One of the good ones. They invited me, of course, as if that would fix anything. as if showing up would erase the fact that they'd tried to trade me off like a favor. Ryan saw the invite and laughed. He said maybe we should show up together. He said maybe it was time they saw what real love looked like. I didn't laugh. I looked at the RSVP card, then threw it in the trash. That night, Ryan called me ungrateful again. Said I was throwing away a perfectly good moment. Said I never supported him. Said he was starting to think they were right about me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just waited until he fell asleep, then got up and looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't like who I saw, not because of the way I looked, because I didn't recognize her anymore. The next morning, I opened a new email account. I contacted a lawyer. I found someone who could marry us at the courthouse with 2 witnesses and no fanfare. I printed a photo of us smiling stiffly after the ceremony. No filter, no caption. I turned my old phone back on. Over 300 missed calls, dozens of voicemails. I didn't listen to a single one. I attached the wedding photo and sent it to every single contact in my family group chat. Then I blocked them all again. The photo didn't make them go away. It made them louder. First it was silence for 3 days. Then the new number started calling. First my cousin, then my mother's sister, then a message from a church contact I hadn't seen in years saying she was praying for my union. I blocked them one by one. Then I got a text from my mother. No, hello. No, hope you're well. Just a long paragraph about shame and what I'd cost the family and how I'd better not expect to be welcomed back when it all fell apart. I didn't reply. I took a screenshot, saved it, and deleted the message. Ryan found out what I'd done the next morning. I'd left the laptop open and the email tab was still up. He didn't say anything at first. He just stared at me for a long time, like I was a stranger. Then he asked if I married him just to spite them. I said no. He didn't believe me. I said it again. He walked out. That night, he didn't come home. I slept in my clothes. I didn't know if he was coming back. I didn't have anyone to call. My old friends were tied to my family, or they thought I'd gone off the rails. I'd burned everything. My job, my reputation, the last bit of stability I had, and it hit me that this was it. This apartment, this ring, this man who couldn't even look me in the eye after one decision he didn't control. He came back the next afternoon with a bag of takeout like nothing happened. He said he needed time. He said he understood. He said he wasn't mad, just disappointed. I said I didn't need him to forgive me. He said I should start thinking like a wife. That was the shift. After that, things stopped being equal. If I wanted to spend money, I had to explain. If I wanted to go somewhere alone, I had to argue. If I wanted a moment to myself, he got suspicious. He started checking my email. He asked about passwords. He made comments about what I wore, who I followed, why I was so cold lately. He said it like a joke, but it wasn't a joke. When I pushed back, he'd get quiet. Not angry, not loud, just quiet, detached. He'd say he didn't know what happened to the girl who ran away with him. Said he missed her. Said maybe I'd changed my mind and didn't know how to say it. That kind of thing sticks with you. Makes you start calculating everything you say before you say it. I started keeping thoughts to myself. Started second-guessing if I was the problem. If I'd broken something in him by making a move without him. Like, maybe I owed him for not abandoning me when I'd turned my entire life to ash. It got worse after his mother called me. I didn't even know how she got my number. She said she'd seen the photo. Said she was disappointed she wasn't invited. Said she was proud of her son for rescuing me. That's the word she used. I didn't respond. I just listened and hung up. Ryan thought it was sweet. That his mom was warming up to me. That maybe we could visit. I said no. He said I was isolating us. He said I was making everything harder than it had to be. I told him I didn't want another version of the same control. He said I was being dramatic. 2 weeks later, my mom showed up at my door. I didn't even know she was in the city. I opened the door, and there she was, arms crossed, face like a statue. She looked past me like I was a stranger and asked to come in. I didn't move. I told her she had 2 minutes. She said she forgave me. She said it wasn't too late to undo it. She said they could get the marriage annulled, that they'd already talked to a lawyer. She said I was still her daughter. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't ask if I was happy. She didn't care about the life I was actually living. She just wanted to fix the image, repair the optics, clean up the mess. I told her to leave. She said I was making a mistake. I said I already made it. She didn't fight me. She just turned around and walked back to the elevator like I was nothing to her. Ryan came home right after. I told him what happened. He didn't react the way I thought he would. He wasn't angry. He wasn't surprised. He said maybe she had a point. That night, I started packing a small bag. Not because I had a plan, not because I was leaving, because I wanted to know I could. Just in case. I hid it under the bed. The next week, Ryan made a joke at a dinner party. We were with two of his coworkers and their wives. He said something about how I used to be wild, now she's just mine. They laughed. I didn't. I didn't say anything, but I never forgot it. He didn't apologize. He said I was too sensitive, that I should learn to take a joke, that he loved me, and that was all that mattered. I smiled through it. I smiled through a lot after that. Smiled at the neighbor, smiled at his boss, smiled at his mom's texts. Then came the anniversary. 6 months since the wedding. I got home early and found him on the phone with one of his friends. I didn't make a sound. I just stood outside the door and listened. He said he wasn't sure how long he could keep doing this. He said I was difficult. He said I came with too much baggage. He said maybe he should have waited. Maybe he should have picked someone easier. That night I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just waited until he fell asleep, pulled the bag from under the bed, and took a cab across town. I checked into a cheap hotel with cash and silence. I turned my phone off. The next morning I turned it back on. He'd texted once. "Where are you?" I didn't answer. I went back to my maiden name on everything. I updated my documents. I told no one. I applied for a job under a different email. Got hired within 3 weeks. Moved again. No announcement. No goodbye. The day I signed my new lease, I opened a new email and sent one thing to Ryan. No words. Just a photo. It was a picture of the wedding ring he gave me, dropped in the trash. Then I blocked him too. I didn't disappear. I just stopped giving anyone access. I rented a studio with no windows facing the street. I used a different last name on my lease. I went to work, came home, paid bills, and didn't talk to anyone unless I had to. I deleted every photo of me and Ryan from the cloud. I shredded the wedding certificate. I let the mail pile up from every relative who tried to send some desperate, passive-aggressive card or letter with my name on it like I was a ghost they were trying to summon back. The thing no one talks about is how easy it is to rebuild your life when you stop caring about what anyone thinks. I didn't call it freedom. It wasn't some grand awakening. It was just quiet. No opinions, no voices, no fake apologies, just tasks, meals, work, rent, a place to be that didn't come with expectations or manipulation dressed up as love. My father emailed me once, not to check on me, not to ask how I was, just to let me know I was being disrespectful, that I'd humiliated the family, that I should be grateful they weren't pressing charges for the damage I'd done to their relationship with the groom's side. I didn't respond. I saved it to a folder and marked it useless. Then came the baby announcement. Not mine, obviously. The son of my dad's friend. The one I was supposed to marry. They sent a family newsletter with a photo of him holding his new daughter. I wasn't even surprised. I was a footnote now. A problem they'd buried. A mistake they could pretend never happened. Ryan tried again 6 months after I vanished. Not through a text. Through a coworker. He showed up at my job, said he was a friend, asked to deliver something. My boss called me into the office. There was a box, small, plain. Inside was the bracelet I'd left on the bathroom sink. No note, just the bracelet. I left it on my boss's desk and told her to throw it out. She asked if I was okay. I said yes. That was the end of it. My mother called the building once, said she needed to confirm I lived there for some legal paperwork. The front desk told her they didn't give out tenant information. I changed my name on the buzzer the next day. I used a name I made up on the spot. I started counting time in blocks. 3 months since I last saw him. 6 months since I left. 9 since the wedding. A year. A year and 2 weeks. After a while, it didn't sting anymore. Not because I healed. Because I stopped trying to understand what any of it was supposed to mean. Everyone said I ran away from something. That I acted out. That I was dramatic. But none of them asked what it felt like to have your life handed to you like an obligation. No one cared how many years I'd spent saying yes to people who never asked what I wanted. They didn't see it. They just saw a photo. Then silence, then distance. I got a letter once from my cousin. She said they were still talking about me, said the family was worried, said I was missed. That was the word she used. Missed. Like I was an old photo that went missing from an album. Like I was supposed to feel touched by that. I ripped the letter in half and tossed it. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. The only thing I kept was the wedding dress. Not because it meant anything. Because I paid for it myself. It stayed in a box at the back of my closet. I didn't open it. I didn't sell it. I didn't donate it. It wasn't sentimental. It was proof. I got a new job after that. Better money, new city, no family forwarding address, no emergency contacts, just me. My signature, my apartment, my space. No explanations, no apologies, just routines. Sometimes I thought about what they were telling people, that I ran off, that I got manipulated, that I must be miserable, that I'd reach out when I needed money or support or validation, but I never did. Not once. I didn't ask for a cent. I didn't need their permission to breathe. One night, a friend from work invited me to dinner. She didn't know anything about my past. She thought I was a little guarded but nice. She asked if I had family. I said no. She asked if I'd been married. I said, not really. She asked if I believed in love. I said nothing. I went home and scrolled through the old email I kept for emergencies. There were 29 unread messages. My father had tried again. A long essay about pride, about legacy, about expectations. At the end, he said, I hope you realize one day that we were only doing what we thought was best.